Hey there, this is Holly Shaw, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to keep your scripted material fresh. I get asked this question a lot, and I've gotten asked it a lot recently, which is, if you're a speaker or if you're an actor, you have to often use scripted material, and yet you don't want to sound like you're reading. You don't want to sound like the words are already predetermined, right? And so, how do you keep that fresh so that there's still that aliveness in it? Well, I started thinking about it and realizing that I have certain things that I do to sort of keep the aliveness in my scripted material because I like to use scripted material sometimes. I like to do both improv and scripted, but sometimes I just really want the right words for a talk I'm going to do. I really want it to be succinct and I want it to be powerful, which means oftentimes that I should probably script it in advance, but then I don't like the way it sounds when it's scripted, right? So I have to find a way to put the life back into it, put the improvisational feeling back into it. So in this video, I'm going to share 4 tips of how to do that. Okay, so tip number 1, it's probably the most obvious tip, is never stop creating. So even though you have the words that you are going to say, never stop feeling for them to see if they're the right ones. There may come a point in time when actors can't always do this, but speakers can, where you are talking and you're saying the scripted material, but because you're so present with it, because you're finding it, because you're willing to create with it, you find yourself saying a new thought, maybe adding a little something that you hadn't before because you're so present, you're finding it. So you want to speak as though you're discovering each word as you say it. Tip number 2, you want to use range, range. As much range as you have. You want to use range of emotion. You want to use the levels of volume. You want to be able to use range of tempos, different tempo levels. You want to slow down, you want to speed up. If you emphasize every word, that's not going to work either, right? So it's not about necessarily slowing down every word or emphasizing every other one or making a choice of which to emphasize. You have to have some variety in there. Number 3 is taking the words from your body or connecting the words that you're saying to some part of your body and then letting the words or that sentence come from that place. Number 4, you want to get in touch with the need of what you're saying. So this is especially well, it's important for an actor or a speaker, but you want to get in touch with why are you saying what you're saying? When you're on a stage in front of anyone, whether you're acting or whether you're speaking, your words need to be necessary. And so, no word is a word that you just need to get through. There's a reason for everything that you're saying. And so, if you're an actor, obviously this means getting in touch with what your character wants and then making every single word in pursuit of that objective. As a speaker, this means getting in touch with the thought that you're trying to convey. So then that every word is just an additional, it's just an addition to try to help uncover and help communicate and help translate and transmit what it is that you're trying to get across. All right, so I want to give you an example of this. Okay, so I'm going to take something from a podcast that I just put together because I have it right here. And first, I'm going to just read it. Okay, and you'll feel how dry and dead and not alive that is. And you may not even be able to hear my words. And hopefully, you don't tune out of this video because the second part is coming. Because then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to add those things that I just talked about, which are never stop creating. So I'm going to discover each word as I say it. I'm going to use range and tempo and levels of emotion. I'm going to use my body. I'm going to speak from different places in my body, and I'm going to get in touch with the need of what I'm saying. Okay. So, first of all, let's do the boring, dry one. All right. So, I'm going to just read this. It's going to be really hard, but I'll try. The subconscious mind is a wild thing. It's the part of us that holds on to conditioning, habits, and beliefs, and our very patterns live there. Our subconscious mind works a little bit like this. You have an experience where you're a child, and your subconscious mind is there, soaking it up like a sponge, storing it away as data, as a point of reference. Then, when something happens, like that is, it says, aha, I have a program for that. And you respond to that input just as you might have when it first happened, despite any reason, any logical understanding you may have right now. We get imprinted. It was really hard to just read it dry. But there you have it. Now I'm going to go back using those four things: discovering each word, using range, using my body, and making everything I say necessary. And I want you to look for those four elements. Okay? It's like a Where's Waldo. Just look for those four things that I'm using when I do it this time. The subconscious mind is a wild thing. It's the part of us that holds on to conditioning, habits, and beliefs, and our very patterns of living are there in our subconscious. Our subconscious mind works a little bit like this. You have an experience when you're a child, and your subconscious mind is there, just soaking it up like a sponge, storing it away as a point of reference. And then when something happens like that, your subconscious mind says, aha, I have a program for that. And you respond to that situation just as you might have when it first happened. So, despite any reason, despite any logical understanding you might have right now, we get imprinted. Okay, so that was it. Hopefully, you saw the difference between those two things: using discovering each word, using range, using your body, and finally getting in touch with the need of why are you saying what you're saying? Why is it important? Every word is necessary. So go forth and be fresh with your scripts and have fun. All right, take care.